Viggy, so you're at this stage in your career where you're in a place where, imagine a lot of younger folks that are early on trying to figure out what they want to do. Maybe they're still in high school, or some of them are in college, or they come to someone like yourself. And maybe it's a neighbor or son or daughter of a family member or coworker, and they're curious. They've heard about digital infrastructure. Data centers are in mainstream media a lot more lately than they have in the past few years. They don't really want to go into something technical. They don't want to go into engineering or software development, but they're curious about all these client-facing roles across marketing, sales, customer success, products. What advice would you give to someone in that situation that's exploring this and wants to get together for coffee and learn a little bit more about what it's like working in the data center industry?
Yeah. Again, I'm not an expert to give career advice, but I can share my own experience, right? I mean, it's a kind of real life example too. Few things I want to call out. One is, marketing in the data center industry or data center buyers is not exactly the same as you would do in a traditional marketing environment, because the buying process or the buying cycle in the data center space is very similar to a home buying experience, right? So this is a very fascinating industry, and I get really kind of get too many ideas when I visit a data center or work in a data center space. Is because this is the only space where you can touch and feel technology. It's a home in a way for the cloud infrastructure we're talking about, the servers and the networking gears, everything. So this is what differentiates a data center from the traditional marketing in terms of a SaaS application or anything else, right? This is a commercial real estate for computing infrastructure. So technology lives and breathes inside a data center. So you had to look at your marketing tactics and strategy differently than what people normally do in other space when they're dealing with data center buyers. There's no secret sauce to kind of make this a success, right? Because smaller co-location providers, they still follow the same commoditized approach where they are selling. Even today, they're selling, and there's demand for it too. The racks and the cages, right? Whereas the hyperscale providers, like Digital Realty, NTT, and other companies that are leading the space, they use a different tactic altogether, right? It's more of a relationship base. It's all about making that capacity available when the end users are ready to buy. In the modern age of AI, I briefly touched on this. It's all about making the data center the AI ready, right? So buyers are really looking for, is your data center capable of handling the high density deployments I'm looking for? Do you offer liquid cooling? Do you have the growth plan from, if you have one data center today, 10 data centers today, what's your 3, 5, 10 years roadmap looks like? Because they want to make sure that they have room to grow, and if in a market where they want to grow, right? So does your growth roadmap aligns with their growth strategy? So all this is really complex, because it's not about selling a piece of property or renting one data hall or a portion of it to a customer. So it's kind of you had to really think from that perspective. In terms of other customer facing, this is a greatest opportunity for people who don't want to go into more of the technical engineering or other disciplines in their studies. If they want to kind of really become, let's say, a technician, we are fortunate to have a lot of the educational institutes embrace this new opportunity. I'll use Northern Virginia Community College as an example. They offer a dedicated data center technician course. It's a full, certification, and there are more than a couple hundred students enrolled in the last few years, and some really good friends of mine. They are part of building this whole curriculum and the course. And in fact, people are so grateful that courses like this, education like this, is really helping the industry by filling the shortage of really skilled technical labor requirements, right? So if I'm a hyperscale provider or even a hyperscale data center provider, I need a lot of skilled technicians to maintain my facility. If I own my own data center, I need those technicians to run it. If I'm a data center provider, I need somebody who understands my end users' requirements and their setup, so that they can talk the same language. So having this kind of skill set is really important. And the courses that NOVA offers, Northern Virginia Community College, this is a great example. And I'm already seeing many other institutes and universities, they are embracing it. And in the near future, I'll not be surprised if that becomes a mainstream courses offered by leading universities.
Yeah, what Northern Virginia Community College is doing is actually still novel enough that if they were a private university as a public university, I wouldn't be surprised if they would be looking to set up satellites all over the US, at least in the 5 or 10 biggest data center markets, because there's such extreme, obviously there's more density, more square footage, more power and everything in Northern Virginia than anywhere else on the planet. But you still have, there's a program in Dallas. I'm not aware of any similar programs in other in Chicago and Southern California, let alone the secondary data center markets. And there's clearly a demand for this kind of skills training going forward, and even awareness. That's why, like, Nomad Futurist was doing is fantastic for just spreading the word and letting people know that these careers exist. But yeah, for sure, this is all great insight and advice for getting foundational skills. And one of the interesting topics that comes up in a lot of these interviews with folks on the sales side, like account executive, sales development, is increasingly, in order for them to get to really valuable conversations with prospects and clients, they're having to be a lot more technical than they would have had to be 5 or 10 years ago. I did an interview with somebody back 8 or 10 weeks ago, where he was describing his home lab setup, what he does nights and weekends. I said, it sounds like you have the skills that you could be a fractional CTO to small and medium-sized businesses. He's like, exactly, that's what I'm trying to do. So our clients see that much value in having these conversations. So it sounds like, based on what you're describing, even if somebody wants to go into account executive training or marketing training or account management training, they would be really wise to start with the foundation of learning what a data center technician does.
I can't agree more.
Yeah, cool.